welcome to my channel. So today we are going to discuss the problem which is to find out the permutations of a given string. So we will take some examples. Suppose the given string is C. In that case the permutation of C will be the same letter which is C. But if we are given say B comma C, in that case the permutation of BC, this is the given string, will be B followed by C and C followed by B. Now suppose we want to find out next the permutation of ABC. So for permutations of ABC, it will be A, then B followed by C, A, then C followed by B, then we will have B, then followed by A and C, we have B followed by C and A, then we have the C as the input, then A followed by B, then C followed by B and A. So if we notice here, like this particular permutation, it is same as the permutation of BC. So we have the starting alphabet as A, and then whatever is the permutation of the remaining string, which is BC in this case. Same way, if we see here, this is basically nothing but permutation of AC. And similarly is the case here as well, that is the permutation of AB. So ABC finally permutes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 permutations for that. Write some method say permute, and initially we have a empty string and then we have the given string. Say let's say this time we are taking A, B, C, D. Now what we should be able to see in this particular case, suppose we are starting with the first letter in the input which is A, and after that we need to still permute for B, C, D, which is the remaining string. If we start with the B, in that case B will be our selected input and we will be left with A, C and D. Similarly, we can go and select the third character which is C, and then we are left with A, B and D. Another possibility is we go with D and then we permute for A, B and C. So these are the possible combinations at level 1. The point to note over here is, if we see the number of branches here is 4, and this is the branch when we select A, this is the branch when we are selecting B, this is the branch when we are selecting C, and this is the branch when we are selecting D. So if we say the size of the input is n, which is in this case 4, then at level 1 we will have n possible branches. Now when we go for the second level, when we move forward, what we will do is, now we will try to go with A. We will basically increase our input to include B also, and then we will permute for CD. If we go further, then we can pick another character which is C this time, and then B and D. And one more possibility is P, A D and BC. So this level, second level, we picked here B, moving from input to output, basically this particular variable. Let's say okay, let's give these variables some name also. So let's say we are giving name input so far, which would be initially empty, and say this is our rest of the input. So let's go with this assumption. So here input so far will be AB because we have included B also. Why I am using these variables? Because we will be using these variables only when we are trying to code, when we are trying to map this particular approach to a working algorithm. So here we have AB because we opted for B. Here we have selected C from the rest, and here we have selected D from the rest of the input. So the point to note over here is the number of branches here are 3 basically, which is n minus 1 at the second level. Okay. So if we proceed further with the same approach, let's say okay, then what we will have is we will have P, then we can select C this time, and then we are left with the D in the rest of the input. If we go here, then this time we can say selected C here, next time we will select D. So we will have A, B, D, and we are left with C. Similarly, now if we go further, we will see we are having only one alphabet remaining in the rest, and the rest will become empty. And if we go here, so we have selected actually D here, which is the only alphabet, C only alphabet remaining in the rest, and here we will have A, C, and so on. So the point to note over here is the rest is empty, and when rest is empty, then whatever we have in input so far is the permutation. This is one of the permutation, this is another permutation because rest here is also empty. This is another permutation because here rest is also empty. So points to note over in this method is, first point is the number of calls are reducing. So for first level we are having n calls. For each of these n calls, every call is further making n minus 1 calls. So total calls till now is n into n minus 1. Now if we come at this level, then every call is further making n minus 2 calls. So n minus 2 calls. So it will keep on going until the last we have remained with only one call. So we can see total number of calls are in basically near to n factorial. So that should be a measure of the time complexity. The number of branches is always the same as the length of the rest. So here rest is having 4 characters, so there are 4 branches. Here the rest is having 3 characters, so there are 3 branches. Here rest is having 2 characters, so there are 2 branches. Here rest is having only 1 character, so there are 1 branches. So what we can see is basically we can expect there will be some loop based on the rest length, and when the rest becomes empty, input so far would have the possible permutation which we are looking for. So let's try to map this idea to a working solution. Here I have created a class called permutations, and so every basically problem which will be having this structure where we are trying to figure out all the permutations will follow more or less similar kind of structure. So let's say we are writing a method called compute, which will be taking our string, which is input so far, string input so far and string rest. Number of branches will be same as the size of the rest. So let's write that part first. I equal to 0 to rest dot length. We need to invoke this method. And another thing we observed over there was when rest is empty over here, then we need to pick whatever we have in input so far, because that is one of the possible numeration. So let's say if rest dot is empty, we need to collect it. So we can see like the numerations will be string values, so we can pick those result into list of string. So let's say result dot add input so far and then return. Now here is the code which we will take for the branches. So before we go for the code for the branches, we can see for every branch we are picking up one character, and then we are adding that character at every step to the input so far. Here we were adding A, here we were adding B, where the input so far was A, so it became AB. Okay, so let's say we are saying next character is input so far plus from the rest take out the character at I. And what is the remaining? Remaining would be go from 0 to I. We don't need to pick the ith character because that is already in the next, and then rest dot substring I plus 1. So basically what's happening here is the very first time when it comes here, it will try to see what's in input so far. So input so far would be empty and rest would be actually ABC. Suppose we are going with ABC. In that case it will pick up the A, next will become A, and the remaining would be basically B, C. So whatever character is next, remaining will have the rest of them. Then we will again call the compute. We will pass the result as it is, which is capturing the results. Then we will pass our input so far, which is the character which we have picked up, and rest of that will be remaining. So this is input so far, as I told, which is the character which we are picking up every time and appending to input so far, and that becomes our input so far, and whatever is left after that is our rest. That's exactly what we have coded over here. Now let's make this method private and try to make a public method which will return of string the final permutations, and say method name is generate permutations string input. So here we will have a list of string. Basically the idea behind that is to create an array list which we will be passing into the compute method, to capture a result. So as we can see here also, input so far, we see here input so far is initially empty, so that will be empty. So you can see here also input so far is empty. Then is the rest. So rest over here was actually the whole input, the given string, so we will pass this to here, and after that the result, all the items would be in the result, the basically all the permutation, because we have added them here. So that should be the algorithm. Let's give it a shot. Let's see how it works. So we can see here we have got all possible arrangements or the enumerations for that particular given string. So one thing we can observe about this is when the given string is ABC, what will be the first string which will be added to it. And if you follow the algorithm, you will see it follows a similar structure, and the first one will be added will be ABC or ABCD if the given input is ABCD. So there are various similar problems. So we can see this is a similar problem. So that is one of the problems you can try. And for this particular case, if we are using some libraries like Apache Common, then we can use string utils.isEmpty if using Apache Common. Sorry. Another possible variation of this algorithm is to write a method which will take a dictionary of words, and it will check for a given word whether it's an anagram or not, whether it's actually a word, a possible word in the dictionary or not. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions, you can write them in the comments. Thanks for watching.